You are listening to the EdTech Takeout from Grantwood AEA, an educational service agency that supports school districts in eastern Iowa with a focus on equity, excellence, and efficiency in education for all children.
Welcome to episode 41 of the EdTech Takeout, the podcast that serves up bite-sized technology tips for teachers. My name's Jonathan Wiley, and I'm here with Mindy Carney.
Hello. Big day today. We have a special guest with us. Tony Vincent is zooming in with us today. If you don't know Tony, I'd be shocked, but he's an EdTech consultant who travels all over the world to facilitate different workshops and give presentations to educators. He's an author, blogger, video producer, app developer, and also a talented designer, which is actually going to come in really handy today for our main course. So how are you, Tony?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. Welcome back.
Thanks. It's good to be here.
Yeah, we had Tony on for the iTech podcast we did last October. And we've been talking ever since about having him back on. So today's an overdue day.
It is, yeah. Happy to have you. Should we hop in? Do some news and follow-up?
Sure.
All right.
Okay. Hop in there, Mindy.
Hop in. All right. So last time, was it our last podcast, Wiley, we talked about the Merge Cube? Was that last time or 2 times ago? Okay,
that was the last one.
Right after we had that podcast, there was a Merge Educators Facebook group, if I can spit it out. It started that day, like within the hour, right? Wasn't it like immediately after we had our podcast? We're like, shoot.
We saw it right after. I don't know when it started,
did.
But yeah.
So I have seen some posts coming through there. It looks like lots of educators are excited about the Merge Cube, but I know that you've been doing some research about it. What have you been finding?
Oh, I've been playing with it a little bit. They have this website called the Merge Miniverse.
Okay.
And there they have these like 360 videos. They have Merge Cube apps. They have all kinds of like AR and VR type experiences. So if you're just looking for some content, it's not all their content. Some of it comes from like National Geographic and, all kinds of other places. Yeah, for sure. So
I didn't know
they're just curating a whole big group of stuff together. But yeah, they have that Facebook group, which I saw via Leslie Fisher, who tweeted that out. And I also saw a EdSurge article, which was the 10 best VR apps for Merge VR.
Yeah, I saw you emailed that to me. I didn't get a chance to look at them. The Merge Cube sat on my desk for the entire spring break.
Oh.
Never left the box.
Okay.
So it's back on the counter now. But so we kind of had this discussion too, and maybe Tony, you'd be willing to chime in. What do you think? Is the Merge Cube VR? Like they're calling it VR, but we're kind of thinking maybe it's more like AR. Have you looked at any of the Merge Cube stuff?
I have, yeah. I would, Merge Cube markets it as like virtual reality, but I think it's AR because you still see the real world. And, the one thing that really surprised me with the Merge Cube, we go to Walmart and they're $1. I bought 16 for some reason.
That's all the money in your pocket. I'm going to use all of the money in my pocket.
Yeah. But they're kind of squishy. So, if you don't end up using them for AR or VR, they can be like really fun, like little toys and things you could throw at people and it wouldn't really hurt them too badly.
Oh, good. Good.
Dog chew toys.
Yeah.
Dog chew toys.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's a fun thing. I mean, I play with it with my kids as well, and I think I feel like some of the best apps are still going to come out, because when I look through that Facebook group, there's people like beta testing some of the ones, and they're like, this is coming soon, and I'm like, well, this should be here now. There was one for the British Museum or something, and you could look at some of their exhibits, but then you tap a button and it just like appears like in your room and you can like walk around it. I think it's like ARKit kind of stuff that's going on there, where you physically place it on your table when you don't need the cube anymore, and you just walk around it.
Doesn't it seem like you need goggles really to go with it, or something to hold your phone to your face? Because I have a hard time holding my phone and moving the cube around.
And then sometimes you have to touch the screen as well, and you need like a third hand or something to do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I've got to tell you, my friend Kristen Brooks, she's an elementary teacher in Georgia, and she's been putting out some videos with her students with green screen. So they're doing like reports about the solar system. And since you can record inside the Merge Cube apps, they've recorded, going around the sun, so that a green screen behind them is the sun moving around as two reporters are talking about it. So It was neat to see them use it like as video footage in student projects.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I put a couple of the Merge goggles on our spreadsheet to get here for Grantwood.
Oh.
Just because, I mean, the other thing is that I think when you hold it in front of the camera, it's like you can't quite hold it far enough back sometimes for some of the apps as well, just the range of the focal length of the camera and stuff. But I tried it in the Google Expedition lenses we have, but some of them you need like to press a button or something to make some stuff work, and the button on those doesn't work on the Merge Cube ones. So
I had some Google Cardboard, and I'm like, oh well, I got it right here, and they put it in, and like this isn't working. What's going on? Like, oh, there's no hole for the camera, so my phone can't see the Merge Cube.
That could be a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I have some scissors. I could have probably figured it out.
Yeah. So we're still playing with that. I think it's one of those things that's more is going to come out soon.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where it goes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I put one more thing on the list here, just as news that's coming up since the last time we podcasted was March 27th. Apple is having an education event in Chicago. And as is typical with Apple events, it's kind of cryptic and they're not saying what it's going to be.
Right.
But
don't you have an inside track on that, though? What's going on? Come on.
I've heard some rumors. Have you heard some rumors, Tony?
Just what I've read on the internet. Nothing reliable.
Yes, I don't think anything is reliable, but I don't know. There's rumors about like a cheaper iPad, maybe, or
cheaper than the one that there already is.
Yes,
really.
But I don't know if that will happen.
Well, if you say so, it will happen.
The internet said it might happen, but that's as far as I can go. Yeah. Maybe a cheaper MacBook Air type of computer or MacBook computer. I did see something, and this was somebody was digging around in the iOS betas, and they found a framework for developers called ClassKit.
Okay.
Which, you get AR kits and stuff like that. So, and I don't know, that it's some way that developers can create something in their apps to interact with. I don't know if it's going to Apple Classroom or where that's going, but so I don't know. Keep your ears out for
the rumor mill is running wild.
March 27th.
Yeah. I think Apple has to really try hard now to catch up to the Chromebook's momentum, and a cheaper iPad would be a way to go. I would love to see the low end iPad work with an Apple Pencil. That would be pretty cool too.
And that was kind of interesting because on the event they sent out to the press, there was an apple that looked like it had been drawn with an Apple Pencil. So maybe you're onto something there, Tony.
Maybe Tony knows something. He's just pretending he doesn't know something.
Could be.
Could be.
I don't. It's just wishful thinking.
All right, so up next, main course served to you piping hot, the role of design in the modern classroom, which is why we are bringing in our expert, Tony Vincent, to talk a little bit about where he feels the role of design is in our classroom these days.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't, maybe this is too heavy a way to start this, but I'm a big fan of Dan Pink books.
Yes,
and there's a quote from one of his books. He said, "We may not all be Dali or Degas, but today we must all be designers." And so I thought that was kind of a good way to maybe frame up some of the stuff we're doing, because design is really important. And, he'll say, like, everything that you are using on a daily basis has been designed by somebody for some functional purpose. So the microphones, the desk, the computers, everything we're doing. We just talked about Apple, which are big on design. So, what role does design play in schools today, and why do you think that's important? What do you think, Mindy?
Oh, you're asking me? I thought Tony was on. Jeez. Well, I think what's interesting about design, and I've been doing some work with Amber with the makerspace and things like that, is, to me, the most important part of design and the makerspace and with design thinking is with empathy and thinking about your audience and who you might be designing for. So I think that's an important thing important quality for our students to have, I guess.
Empathy, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What do you think, Tony?
I completely agree. The empathy part is key to think about who you're designing for, and my big focus has been on graphic design. And when you ask, is everybody today a designer? And I would say, yeah, everything from even sending an email. How are you formatting it? Are you putting in bullet points for your major points? What are you underlining? Even from our emails, we have empathy for who our audience might be and stepping into their shoes and seeing it from their point of view, and then determining, what steps as a designer could I change to better meet the needs of my audience.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, even things like, I don't know, just laying out a PowerPoint presentation or Google Slides presentation, thinking about your audience. We've all had those death by PowerPoint type of presentations over the years, but some of that can be avoided with putting less text on a slide, being more visual, and not reading the slides.
Right.
And I think all those things would be good to reinforce with students from a fairly early age. My daughter just did a presentation on a state. It was a Midwest state. It was a guest estate type of deal. And, she made her first Google slide presentation and put all her images and text and stuff together. And she did really well. She did a nice job with it. But, I think it being her first one, she's not in the practice of, the information up on the slide is not what I'm going to talk and present to you. So, these things come with time, I guess.
Yeah, right. Interesting.
Yeah, and I think the other part too is we're living in a world where so many people have the same tools. We see the same Google Slides templates or the same PowerPoint templates all the time. So thinking about how we can make our own work stand out and putting our own personal stamp on it so that what we create and what students create, really looks like something no one else would come up with because of that personal stamp.
Mm-hmm. And that's interesting, Tony, because I know you do a lot of that. I mean, your social media presence obviously is a powerful one, and you do have a definite signature of all of the things that you do. How would you suggest teachers go about doing something like that, even for, like Jonathan said, with a slide deck or something like that? How do they put their own signature on it, or do you have some suggestions?
Well, the first thing is just practice. And the thing is, so many of us do have a lot of practice, and the problem is practice takes time. We have these templates and we have things like Canva that can instantly make something for us. And that's great. That's really good in a pinch because teachers are people who don't have a lot of time on their hands.
Right.
But man, it feels great when you design something that is your very own. And even for me, I'm on the lookout all the time. I see a post on social media come out and I'm like, ooh, I really like that border. And so I'm always collecting ideas. I screenshot stuff. I put it into my Evernote for safekeeping, so I can go back and look at it later. But I'm always noticing things, noticing color combinations, and thinking, ooh, I could use that. And I'm also always learning from non-examples of we're going to a conference and seeing, okay, that color combination's really hard to see.
Purple and red don't go well together.
I won't be using pink and yellow together.
Yeah, so kind of like having that designer's eye then, I guess. So it's like, I think photographers you'll talk to them and they'll talk about, seeing a photograph before like they take the photograph and thinking about what that looks like. And so just trying to be more present and thinking like a designer. And, maybe having that design board type of thing like you're talking about, and storing those examples away to give you some inspiration when you need it.
Sure.
Exactly. And then even thinking for me as a user of something, as a consumer, where are my points of frustration? And recently I was on a school website trying to find something that should be in the calendar. And it took me 5 minutes to find the calendar. And then the calendar wasn't sorted in any way. And there are all these sporting events on every day. And there was no search. So I had to go day by day to figure out when this thing was happening.
Yeah.
And then it makes me think back, wow, when I was in charge of the calendar for my school website, I wonder if other people felt this way. What? So if I'm ever in charge of a school website calendar again, I now have a new empathy for the person on the other side.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, so let's think about that design thinking model then for a minute. We brought that up, I guess, and we're talking about the empathy part being that first part there. I think that's I'm seeing that more and more in schools, especially in makerspaces and things like that, but definitely it can apply to graphic design or basically just about any type of design. Is that something you've seen used much, Mindy, or seen in much context?
I don't know that I'm seeing a ton of that going on right now outside of the makerspace. But I think once the conversation kind of starts, it overflows into other things, right? So if you have, if you start bringing it up in little things in your classroom, kids start hopefully applying that in other situations where you're not directly teaching it, but instead they're starting to think, oh, you know what, I really need to think about my audience, or I really need to think about how a first grader would read this or something like that, you know? So I think once the conversation starts, hopefully it starts to overflow into other things.
Yeah. And kind of the gist of it is you don't get it right the first time and you go back and make adjustments. And,
right.
You know, it's even like as a fifth grade teacher, I didn't even know about the design process at that point, but that's what we did for writing. That's what we always did for revising. And your audience doesn't want to hear the same vocabulary word again and again. Let's spice it up. So you're always going back, you're testing and then redoing things. And then with me, especially designing graphics, I usually design in Keynote as a series of slides. And Keynote has really good design tools. I could do it in PowerPoint or Google Slides as well. I just happen to use Keynote. But what I really like is my ideas branch out like crazy. And I spend way too much time figuring out what colors would work and that. And the best way to compare is just to duplicate the slide. So I'm at a point where, I'm about to make a change. I don't know if I like it. So I duplicate the slide, make the changes, and then I go back and look at the other versions and compare and kind of figure out. So I have different prototypes going on the different slides that I've duplicated.
Well, that's a good point, too, because what's nice about it, I always, look at something like, oh, I don't like this, so I'm just going to undo it. But if I were to screenshot it ahead of time, at least I could hold them next to one another and be like, what part of it isn't working, instead of just undo because I don't like it. So that's a good idea.
I'm teaching a class right now with, it's kind of an online-based class, and I tried to bring in some of those design thinking elements that I hadn't really used before. And so, like, when we think about the empathy part, normally when you do some kind of online class, you're like, here's the assignment, go do this. So I tried to put like a scenario for people to think about so that, they would put themselves in the place of that person and think about what does that person need in order for this to be done. And the other part I tried to put in was that testing part where, traditionally you do an online class, you do the assignment, you submit it. I have people do their assignment, submit it to like a discussion forum and get everybody else to comment back and forward and, hey, give some suggestions or some ideas on what it is. And then they get the chance to make some changes or alterations and then submit it after that. So getting that, feedback, and because sometimes just showing it to somebody else, getting a fresh pair of eyes on something is like, oh yeah, I didn't think of that. That's such a good idea. Sure. Why didn't I notice that? Yeah,
that's good.
That's the way it's going so far.
So Tony, you're kind of doing a class as well, right? Is it called Classy Graphics? Is that right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah. So do you want to tell us a little bit about your class?
Oh, I would absolutely love to. I've been for years and years, I've been doing workshops in person, and I thought I would try online once Google Classroom opened up to personal accounts and people from different schools could come together. So I tried this out in Google Classroom, and it is the best workshop I've ever taught. Like,
awesome.
It works out really well. And I was really thinking, teaching online, I don't have that same personal connection. I can't just like hover over their computer and help them out when they need it. But there are so many advantages to being online. And so in Classy Graphics, we meet in Google Classroom, and once a week I post an instructional video. It's usually between a half hour and an hour long, and it answers some of their questions from the previous week and introduces new ideas. And, we start out pretty simple with graphic organizers and learning about aligning and distributing and where to position things on the page to make it look good. And then it all comes out from there. And it's 6 weeks of really cool designing and developing. And a lot like Jonathan's class, the teachers in the class submit, but they don't submit it to me. They just put it in a class comment so everybody can see it. And they leave their Google Drawings or Google Slides document open for commenting.
Nice.
So then we can all comment. I comment. Usually each document gets about 5 or 6 at least comments from their classmates. And then we can help them out. They can iterate. And then what I really like online that I just can't do in person because there's not time is I can make a copy of what they've done and kind of move things around or show them some alternative ways to think about their design. And then add that back in, the link to the new version in a comment. So it's just a lot of possibilities when we're online. And there's a good sense of community because we're helping each other. And we're using Flipgrid to talk to each other. So we get to put names to faces and post reflections that way. So the tools that we have readily available, freely available online now really facilitate this kind of learning. And I'm really happy that I'm able to share some of my passion for graphic design with teachers who sign up. It's been pretty fun.
So how does it work then too? Because Jonathan said something about kind of giving a situation. Are teachers kind of freely creating? Are they creating for their classrooms? What are some of the things that they're creating for you?
Yeah. So every week I have an optional assignment. And I say assignments are opportunities to create and share. But I always encourage teachers to make something they will use. And that teachers always have something on their mind, a flyer, a poster or something. But each week kind of lends itself to different kinds of like projects. Like the first week, graphic organizers, and they can be online or printable. And then what I really like is in week 2, I kind of show just taking color out of the equation and thinking about designing in black and white and how to make text stand out, how to use simple icons, how to create checklists, all while practicing our distributing and aligning skills. So that project, actually, we designed printable sticky notes. Because that's a neat way to design in black and white. And teachers come up with amazing ideas for printable sticky notes, all from, giving compliments and encouragement to exit tickets that have the emojis printed on them so that students can circle and stick to the door as they leave. Or perhaps a Chromebook is broken, and so they have a little sticky note that can be stuck to it with the student's name. They can check mark the problem, put their ID number or whatever they need to write on the Chromebook. So, I've always loved working with teachers because they are incredibly creative and incredibly practical.
Yeah, right.
And the neat thing about the class is then you see everybody else's work and everybody's like, oh, that's a good idea. And that made me think of doing this. And there's so many springboards that occur because of that. And we do other things with designing social media posts, creating infographics. And then we put it all together in the final week. And that's using Google Drawings or Google Slides as kind of an interactive learning activity, whether things are hyperlinked or teachers make things move. You take things from the margins and move them in, create a sorting or matching game. I show a lot of examples in that week's video. And then again, the teachers take it to like new levels and it's amazing to see what they come up with, all with that design kind of mindset where, they want it to look good. They're empathizing with the user. They're trying it out themselves. They're getting feedback. They're making changes. I could talk forever, but you can see why I say it's like my favorite workshop ever because I get to learn the entire time too.
So if someone was interested in taking your course, how do they go about doing that? Or when is it open? Or how soon? How long do they have to wait? What's going on?
Well, this is perfect time. And I only get to offer it a couple times a year. It does take a ton of my time.
Yeah.
And registration is open for the spring class, which begins April 3rd. So not too far from here. It goes April 3rd to May 15th. So registration, I usually keep open a week into class because you can kind of do it at your own pace and catch up pretty easily. My website is learninginhand.com. And you'll see a link for Classy Graphics there. Or even if you Google Classy Graphics, I think the page is the first one to come up. But you can read about it. And there's a page with testimonials that I collected through Flipgrid, and it sounds like I paid these people like the most awesome things, and I did not. All I did is say, if you like the class, I record a testimonial on Flipgrid, and
funny.
Still, I've been doing this for a year now, and even the people from the spring classes, every day I use something from that class because truly teachers are designers every day, whether
definitely
worksheets, just putting something up on their smart board, that they're always designing. And Mindy, since you asked,
yes,
I made a promo code just for people who are listening to this podcast. So if they put Mindy at checkout, they save $10.
Hey, wow. I'm worth more than $10, Tony, but that's fine.
I know.
Promo code Mindy at checkout.
But if you put Jonathan in there, it doesn't take anything off. So
wow, that is it's a great way to round up your last appearance on the podcast, Tony. All right. Favorite tools? What do you mentioned you design in Keynote a lot, Tony. Is there other things you use, or are you pretty restricted to Keynote?
Keynote and Google Slides or drawings. The one thing that Keynote is missing is word art. And word art in Google Slides and Google Drawings is a super powerful tool because that does a couple things for my text. One is it gives you the option to have an outline that's a different color than the fill color, and that can make text stand out really, really good on pictures. That's why memes use that. Like memes have that thick text that has an outline. The other thing that I love about word art is that instead of adjusting your text by text size, and you have to all right, let's see, 32 point, no, that's too small. 64, oh, no. With word art, it's like any other object on your canvas. So you just click a corner and you can drag, and then you can do some neat effects, like when you see text that's stacked on top of each other and every line is the same width. It's easy to just drag, use the guides to make a block of text that's in a rectangle. In Keynote, if I wanted to do that, it takes a lot of adjusting the font size, and it's no fun.
Yeah, I think one of the things people forget about with like Google Slides or PowerPoint and Keynote and those things on more desktop orientated devices is that you can resize the slide. I mean, people traditionally, you think you get the 4:3 slide or the 16:9 slide, but if you want one that's like letter size, or you want one that's perfectly square or whatever, you can just go into the page setup and change those dimensions and get any graphic you want, and you can save it as an image and not just like a PowerPoint deck or whatever. Yeah,
exactly.
So I see a lot of things created in Canva are becoming really popular with a lot of our teachers, I think. And just again, you mentioned that earlier, they've got a lot of those like built-in templates, which can be good for inspiration. And just give people some ideas and starting places. And you can use the templates as is, or you can mess them up and take things that you don't want and add those pink and yellow fonts and together. And, and really destroy it. But I had one teacher using an app called Assembly. Have you ever heard of that one, Tony?
Yeah. That is that's a neat app for putting together like icons and.
Yeah, he does a project with, he gets his kids to make a logo for a company, and they use the iPads for that, and it's just all like vector shapes and things that you align together.
But then doesn't record it as you make it, so like can't you, it like records all of your steps, and then you can play it and watch it as it's being created?
I don't know, does it?
Oh, I think it does.
If it doesn't, it should, because that sounds really...
I think it does.
A neat way to review how you created something.
Yeah, I think it does. I'd have to take a look at it. I haven't looked at it for a long time, but...
Okay. That reminds me, one of the things in Classy Graphics that's been pretty fun is every week I put out what I call a shapegram. And in Google Drawings, I have 3 different... kind of like, they look like clip art, but I've drawn them in Google Drawings with different shapes and colors. And so then... the participant's job is to recreate them. And then many recreate them, and then they put their personal spin on it and change colors or put them in different positions and things. And every week they get harder and harder and harder until the last week you have to make your own. It's pretty fun. I've been wanting to release shapegrams as something like I'd love to just be able to put new ones out every week for people to use.
Yeah.
But I need to clone myself before I can get something like that done.
Keep an eye on Tony's social media accounts. You might see those one day. Yeah.
See one shoot across every once in a while.
Yeah. The other one that I use sometimes that I get to, I don't use it as often as I should, I don't think, but we were talking to Amber this morning. She created a graphic that she wanted to share out on different social media accounts.
Actually talk about that. before the end of the show.
We should do.
Yes.
Yeah. But it was kind of more of a squarish kind of graphic or something, wasn't it? It was created for Facebook. But
it was like a flyer.
In Adobe Spark Post, they've got the ability, you create your design once, and then you can like resize it for like different shapes. So if you wanted to put it on Pinterest, it will resize your design and make it more kind of long and thin. And you want to put it on Twitter, it puts it in like rectangular format. So that's kind of a flexible or interesting idea too.
Yeah, to do that manually.
Yeah, it takes some time.
Google Slides or Keynote, that takes me forever to switch things up because Pinterest and then what you'd put on Twitter are very different sizes. Yeah.
Any other final design thoughts, Mindy or Tony?
I think so. You hit all the ones that I like to use. Google Slides and Canva are my favorite. So yeah. Well,
I'll tell you one more is Sticky AI. It's made by the same company that makes Prisma. And so Sticky AI uses artificial intelligence and machine learning to remove the background from portrait photos. And that's pretty neat because then you can put a white line around it and then stick that onto a graphic and put speech bubbles or whatever. So, all the rage is using Bitmojis for this and that. Well, you could use Sticky AI and make your own kind of Bitmojis with your own picture because you can be in different poses, put that all in your photo library and pull them out anytime you need. And they have a transparent background or you can color the background. So Sticky AI, it's a free app for iOS and Android.
And you know what, Tony? I mentioned that on the podcast probably, I don't know, like maybe last month because I'd seen you push that out on social media. And I love it because I love GIFs and I can make GIFs of myself now. So when I want to send myself rolling my eyes at Jonathan, I can do that.
You've got it.
I have it. I have them all saved now.
I have been sent that GIF a few times, yeah.
So Jonathan actually wanted to thank you for giving me that idea. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Tony.
You're very welcome.
All right, so up next, my favorite part of the show is Tech Nuggets. And Wiley, you can go first.
Oh, thanks for that, Mindy.
You're welcome.
Well, speaking of iOS apps, I came across this one via Richard Byrne, who is featured a lot in this podcast. We should ask him if he wants to come on because we talk about him just about every episode, I think. This one's called Puppet Master.
Okay.
And sorry, I'm just looking at the app here, and it's kind of an interesting digital story type of app. You've seen things like Puppet Pals and Sock Puppets and Toontastic and those type of deals. So it's a similar one to that, where you can pick a character and you can animate them and you can talk and have them move around the screen. So you can like move their limbs and stuff like that on the screen here. I'm waving in the air like you know what that means, but
I'm following along.
Yeah. The other interesting thing is you can also like draw your own characters and you can put on the character where their limbs should it's not articulate. Is that the right word I'm thinking of? No. Where their limbs should move and different places so that when you're moving your own character around, they can do that on the screen.
Nice.
But then they take it one step further and you can turn on the camera and you go back a little bit inside this shape and the iPad recognizes you. And as you move around...
Stop it.
Your puppet moves around on the screen too. Seriously, yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's kind of a fun one.
It's fun.
It's quite a large app. It's like 350, 400 megabytes or something like that to get all that stuff in there. But if you like Sock Puppets and Puppet Pals and Toontastic and things like that, Puppet Master is worth a look. And it's free.
And it's free. Wow, the gift that keeps on giving.
And if you go to their website, they have educational resources for teachers. And I noticed they have this thing here where you can request educational projects. So it says, drop us a line to request free class project ideas. We'll send one for any topic you want to teach. If you don't have it, we'll make it.
Wow.
Ooh.
That's service, isn't it?
That is service. Jeez, how long will that last, do you suppose?
I know.
They're new.
We'll see how far that goes. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So give them something hard like finding common denominators and see what they
Good luck.
Yes. All right.
All right. Me? Okay. So I actually just got done reading, and I'm probably going to mess up the name of the title because I always think Google Apps for Education, but I think it's just Google Apps for Littles, which is by Christina Pinto and Alice Keeler. And actually, both of my tech nuggets come from that book today. The first one is cartoonify.de, www. I should say, Cartoonify. And this is a way for your young students to make their own avatars. She was talking about using it like in profile pictures in Google Classroom and things like that. We have a lot more teachers using Seesaw, I would say, for our younger students here in the area, but they could still create their own little avatar. It's very user-friendly, super easy, and you can just download it straight there. You don't have to have an account, anything like that. So lots of different options for kids and super easy to use. Free. Use that one.
That is a good one. I'm going to create one of you right now, Mindy.
You're making one of me?
Yeah, like big eyes and all kinds of stuff.
Big eyes?
Yeah.
What big eyes you have.
It works pretty good on the iPad. I'm here and, wow, he looks kind of mad so far.
On the iPad.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
I should reset that one, maybe.
Yeah. So that's why I like it. Yeah, that's a good one. Yep.
Good find. Cartoonify.
Yeah.
All right, Tony, do you have a tech nugget to share with us?
Yeah. We're talking about making your graphics. Well, the next step is animating them. And both PowerPoint, 365, and Keynote have some really cool animation tools that I think are maybe a little underrated or people don't know about. And that's the morph transition in PowerPoint or magic move in Keynote, where you have two slides with the same things on it. You move one thing from one part to another, and then when played, then PowerPoint or Keynote just smoothly make that transition from one spot to another. And there are some really amazing animations, particularly with morph in PowerPoint, because PowerPoint has some 3D tools. You can take any object and kind of turn it. And so if you have it on in one position on one slide, and the next slide you have it in 3D at a different location, at a different angle, when played, it makes this really cool effect.
Nice.
Yeah, I've been looking on Twitter recently, and I've seen a lot of like Apple educators. There's a hashtag called Magic Move Challenge, and I think it's like once a week where people are submitting a magic move kind of animation.
Really?
Based on a theme that people are giving out each week. So maybe look those up. It's hashtag Magic Move Challenge, and you can
that's cool.
See some of those on there. So just examples of what people are doing. They're creating like little stop motion movies or little animations and things on there. So
nice.
That's a little extra tip for that one.
Yeah, good for you.
A little bit extra sauce on that nugget.
A little extra sauce on the nugget.
Yeah.
That's you guys got bigger than just bites going on here.
I think so, yeah.
Yes, full course meals.
Full course meals. All right, well, I'll make this one quick then so you don't fill up. This is one I got from...
Oh, geez, they keep coming.
This is one I got from our noble leader, Stacey Beamer.
Oh, yeah.
Who recommended an add-on for Google Slides called Insert Icons. Mm-hmm. And so this is similar. If you've ever seen like the Noun Project stuff, it's similar to what they do, except I think on the Noun Project extension, you only get like, I don't know, maybe 100 free icons or something like that. Yeah. But this person has put together an add-on that has got like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different icons that you can use and search through for different things. So if you're looking to add some design flair to your presentation, this could be a good one for Google Slides, just to get some quick free add-ons. I think it is done by the same person that does the awesome tables.
Oh, that's right.
That you are so fond of.
Is,
yes, but we'll just...
Yeah, I don't know their name, but...
Give people some context.
Brilliant, whoever they are. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just go to your Google Slides and go to the add-ons and search for Insert Icons, and you should see that one.
Good one. So
this one is really great, and it uses material design icons, which then match what Google uses in all of their products. So
yes, it does.
That's neat. That's really neat.
Yeah,
I can change the color of these icons.
And now Tony's going radio silent for the rest. Yeah, right.
Project. Yeah, this is turning into a social media post. This is pretty cool.
All right, good one.
So I also have an add-on. Ironically, I once again reading the book found this add-on called Brainstorming Race, and so this is an add-on for Google Docs, and you obviously create a blank Google Doc and open up sharing permission, so everybody has the ability to edit. And then when you turn on the add-on, it gives you a timer. And so the timer runs over on the right-hand side of the dock, and everybody types in as many of their brainstorming ideas. The one I played with was just zoo animals, so I typed in as many zoo animals as I could. And then it allows you to, from there, create a form. So it takes all of those entries from your Google Doc and puts them into a form. So then students could vote like on what their favorite zoo animal is.
Really?
So what's neat about this, though, is that it gets really young students looking at data, because then they can look at the data or pull it into a spreadsheet and look at it in different ways, because looking at data that way with young kids can sometimes seem a little daunting. But this is a one slick move, and kids can go into the form, vote for their favorite one, and then everybody can look at the data together.
That is very slick.
It is slick, right?
I like that.
I like it too.
Yeah, I've already had, like, my day is already very full, and now I have so many more things on my to-do list to look at. This is, like, so exciting. This brainstorming race is awesome.
Yeah, it's very neat. And just to give a shout out to that book, too, if you, are teaching pre-K to second grade, that book is awesome. Got lots of great ideas, and we can definitely put a link in the show notes for Google for Littles. Google Apps for Littles, I think, is what the actual name of it is. So it's a good book.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's about all we have time for this week. Big thanks to Tony Vincent for joining us. Where can people find all your stuff online if they, for some reason, haven't found you yet?
If they haven't seen it already.
Learninginhand.com and at Tony Vincent on Twitter. And I'll just put a reminder out there for the promo code Mindy if anybody wants to save $10 on Classy Graphics. So.
Yeah.
I won't let anyone forget.
Classy promo code.
Careful. All right, so I am at Team Carney on Twitter, and Jonathan is at Jonathan Wiley. Our team account is at DLGWAEA, and you can use our new hashtag EdTechTakeout to tag the show. If you prefer, you can send us an email to podcast@gwaea.org. One thing, don't finish this yet, Wiley. The DLGWAEA team is hosting a summer camp this summer.
Oh, yeah, we are.
All based around the 4 C's. It is July 24th to July 26th. Will you look at your calendar? Is that right?
I think that's right. Yep.
That's right?
And we can put a link to that in the show notes.
Yes,
for
and
people.
we'll put a link to it in the show notes. We would love to have you. We're going to run it a little bit differently, give hopefully a little bit of personalized learning, and allow people to kind of do what they want to do, choose what they'd like to choose for those couple days. So please make sure you take a look at it, and we'd love to have you. And
we have some design elements. And
we do.
Those classes too.
Yes, we do. Yeah.
Should be fun.
Yeah.
All right. So until next time.
This has been the EdTech Takeout. We hope it hit the spot.
For more information on today's episode, please visit dlgwaea.org/podcast.